How's it going, guys? Here out on another nice trip. Here I'm in Guilin, which is probably one of the top 5 most beautiful places in China. Of course, not today. It's been raining and cloudy, but this is late January, so I guess I should have expected the potential for some shitty weather. So yeah, this is about 1,000 kilometers from Chengdu, so it took me 2 days to get out here. And this trip's a bike trip. I've got six people out on this trip, so they flew in here and I packed up all the bikes and everything and came all the way out here. So obviously one of the reasons why I haven't done this more is because it's far, for one, and there's already quite a few bike companies out here doing these trips and stuff, so I haven't done it over the last few years or anything. But I figured since I'm leaving China soon and it's further in south in China, which means generally speaking, not now, but in other times of the year, there's gonna be better weather. Anyway, a few days ago, I headed out from Chengdu, and that was, took about 2 days, 7 hours each day. Yeah, the weather wasn't great, you know, but, and it's like pretty mountainous, but I at least got to Guilin okay. The first evening I met up with one of the guys on the trip, Dean, who I met before. He had actually come out on a trip about 3 years ago or so, when we biked around Longshen and stuff. So yeah, we had a nice dinner that evening. He brought me to a pretty cool barbecue place, which was nice. Huge skewers of beef and things and some other stuff. So that was kind of cool to kick off the trip there. So Guilin isn't too bad. There's a walking street area and you get some views of the Kars Mountains right from downtown pretty much, but you know, it's basically just a regular city, so you might want to get outside either down near Yangshuo or some other places to get a little bit more nature. And then all the other guys met me the next day right at the airport itself, and I was actually going to start the trip north of Guilin, but since they came directly to the airport that morning, instead of driving like an hour back to Guilin and finding another spot for them to bike from, I was like, we could just go from the airport because we're already in the countryside anyway. And I know the one girl mentioned, because she was using my bike before we left a bit, and that there was some issue with the chain falling off or whatever, off the cog. And so I didn't check it. I was like, okay, I'll just tighten it when we get there, no big deal. But I didn't realize it was like, there was something with the front cog or something was like busted. I was like, shit, we'll have to stop at a bike shop before we get going. And so me and Tom, who was using the bike, the guy from Spain, we went about, 45 minutes until we could find like a bike shop who could actually fix it. And so, the guy was trying to upsell us. He's like, I knew it was something with like the front cog for the most part. And the first thing he did was like, he changes the chain. And then he started changing the rear cam or something. And then finally he like finishes the front cog and stuff. So I figured if I left this bike with this guy for a few hours, I'd have an entire new bike, just all new components at the rate we were going. Each time he was trying to fix it, we're like, okay, we'll test it out. He's like, it's fine. And we're like, okay, cool. And then we try it out, we come back, we're like, no, it's skipping or something, right? And so while Tom was out on one of those short trips, you just go down the road 50 or 100 meters, come back, say, oh, how's it running, right? And so he came back and it was like, there's still issues with the bike or whatever, because it was already like, we were there for an hour and a half or two with this guy trying to fix something that really, to me, if I brought it to a proper mechanic, it should have been fixed pretty easily. I diagnosed the issue, I think, right away. I was like, it's the front cog. If you push really hard on it, it's skipping. Like there's something inside there that's not catching, like the threads or something's gone. Anyway, so Tom comes back and he's like, where's my phone? It's like, oh shit. So, because if you go for like a long ride or you get ready for a trip for the day, you'll make sure your pockets and everything's set, but you're just doing a quick trip, just a minute, just to go there and come back. So he had it in his pocket, like in, his jacket like that, which aren't deep, and it just fell probably in the street. And so of course he goes back to look and it's like, it's not there, obviously. Some kid or someone probably picked it up. And then, we even called and the phone was already off. And then for sure someone's already got it, right? Which I don't even know what people could do with phones these days that are like, and there's so many security passwords and all this stuff. It's like, what are people even, how are they easily gonna get access to anything on there? But whatever, you know, someone gained a few dollars for someone else's fucking super big hassle. Because it's not, obviously we all know that our phones have not just our important contacts and financial stuff and other things, but you've got your health code and all of that stuff related to traveling in China for like the COVID prevention stuff. So that was the first thing we thought of. It was like, oh shit, it's like, it's bad enough you lost your phone, but now it's like, how are you gonna get anywhere? Like you can't get on a plane, you can't go into a shop anywhere. Like you need to show them your QR code showing that like, you know, you had your COVID test or whatever. And so it's like, shit, we gotta like figure that out. And another kind of funny issue, because a lot of things in China like this are much more difficult than they need to be, but he just wanted to get his SIM card with the same number, but it's like, they couldn't easily do that. They're like, oh, you have to go back to Sichuan. It's like, well, no, he can't go back. He's got to fly back to get there. So why can't we just do that in the store here? You know, say that the phone was stolen and he wants to use the same phone number and, you know, just change it, whatever, you know? And yeah, it was such a huge hassle. So he ended up just buying the phone and not even getting the SIM card for right now. We eventually found out we might be able to change the number, but there was only small shops in the towns we went to. So it's like, there's no way he could do that right now. So I'm just kind of going up all these stairs. So here is like, this place is famous for the rice terraces. So I'm kind of walking through this area, which in other times of year, or maybe just, you know, it's a bad week, it's super, super pretty here. I was here about 6 years ago. So yeah, so we had that whole issue. And so that took all day until the evening. And then we got to the hotel, which was a nice hotel up in the mountain. And those guys luckily had a good ride that day. Things worked out as far as on their end. And then it was funny too, because then the next day, because the guy had changed the chain, which I probably didn't even need that, you know. I mean, sometimes when you do, if you're gonna change out the cam and like the front and rear cog, you would put on a new chain and everything's set up right. Anyway, so the chain broke. So he was only like an hour into cycling. That chain, the master link or something came out. And so he didn't want to wait for me to come because it was gonna take me another half hour to get there. So he just started running where he was at. And he actually ran to where we had lunch, which was like 10 or 15 Ks. So that was kind of funny. Yeah, so that hotel was nice the first night. We had a nice meal. And in the morning, I walked up to this place. I forget the name, I could put it on the screen, but they've got a nice hiking trail out to like some cascades and nice waterfalls and stuff. So if you're out in that area, it's halfway up to the Rice Terrace area. So that's not a bad stopover, especially in the summer. There's tons of nice swimming holes there and stuff. And I think definitely worth checking out. It looks like the hike's like an hour or so, or maybe 45 minutes to the end. And then you can come back, and if you're, you know, if it's nice weather, hopefully you could go swimming. Which actually in most of the areas you see there's signs for no swimming, you know, which is a shame because so many good swimming holes, but they usually don't let people swim, not just because it's dangerous, but actually most Chinese people can't swim. And so, you know, it's funny here because that's what a lot of people know. They spend about, you know, only about 1 million hours in class and doing homework and stuff, and they don't put aside, you know, I don't know how long it takes to learn how to swim, what, 10, 20 hours for the basics? I know my parents sent me to the YMCA when I was like 3 and I learned to swim. You know, it's like a basic thing, like, you know, eating and taking a shit and swimming, you know, it's like, so then that's a shame. I mean, you see, you know, every year, you know, it's monsoon season in Asia and there's huge floods. You know, it's the #1 cause of child deaths. And there's tons of people die every year in these floods. I mean, this last year there was some in, I forget the town, I think the city was Zhengzhou or somewhere in the middle of China, just crazy flooding. And there's just so much footage of just all these people just drowning. It's just like, man, put aside this, you know, put down the violin for a weekend or the homework or whatever, man, and go learn some swimming classes, man. Because that's insane. I'll do another video on a story I almost drowned about 2 summers ago. I went to get my drone, which wasn't the greatest idea, but I thought I could handle it and got swept under, but oh, if I couldn't swim, I mean, 0% chance, you know, I'd be alive right now. So yeah, that's something, hopefully they start getting into that more in the future, learning you know, some of the basic things in life that are important. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, so we headed up yesterday to these rice terraces, which is where I'm at now. And you know, obviously the weather's shitty, but at least yesterday the weather was fine. Like, it's still cold, but at least they were able to have you know, the whole day. It was nice roads. Instead of taking the main road up here, there's two smaller roads that run parallel to the main road and the highway. So there's actually basically three roads up here. There's a main highway, the secondary road, and then like the third road, which is, you know, not hardly used by anyone. And the first section was nicely well paved and pretty new, and the second section was more beat up, but it was still nice enough. You know, they had like a 6-kilometer climb before they came down to the base of this area, and then it was already getting dark because they didn't start until like noon yesterday. So a little slow moving in the group, but that's all right. It's you know, it's a vacation, whatever. Yeah, so it's really funny. We get to the hotel, which I was actually super nervous coming here in the dark because I've got, you know, the bikes on the roof, and on the main roads you're okay because big trucks are, you know, probably like almost 3 meters high or whatever, 10 feet or whatever it would be. The bikes on the roof, you know, they're 9-10 feet, whatever it is, and if you hit a low-hanging wire, you know, it's gonna rip the bikes and your roof off your van. You know, because these like really small roads up in the mountains, they usually have a lot, because the big trucks aren't coming up there anyway, so they'll have low-hanging wires all over the place. So you gotta really be careful. And it's dark, I can't see. I've had a couple bikes, so luckily I was going slow, but they'll get pulled off, break the bike wheel, and all kinds of shit. Of course, if I'm going fast, it's just, I'm totally fucked. So, so luckily we got up here okay to the parking lot. And I wasn't even sure when I booked the hotel. I was like, from reading the other messages in the group, it was like, I think maybe we could drive up. I wasn't sure. Or they could come and pick us up. Like, I didn't get all the details until we kind of were arriving. And she's like, it's a 10-minute walk up, which is no big deal. It's you know, it's up and not even a road. It's like a rock trail and stuff, like really off the beaten track. And so she actually put our things in like this cart thing, you know, with a machine, because I had like my hard drive in there and our beer and a bunch of stuff, and so they could use that machine so we didn't have to carry everything. And so that was kind of random, but kind of cool. And the dinner was okay, and today we got the day off. Everyone could kind of hike around these rice terraces and just relax today. So we got a nice group out this week. There's, I guess 4 of them are from the UK, and a guy from Spain, and a girl from China. And so it's a nice group. I've known most of them before. They've been on trip. Just a couple of them I met the first time. But yeah, we're having a lot of fun so far. It's funny, there's 2 Toms on the trip, so to distinguish from them too, there's Spanish Tom, who they call Handsome Tom, and then there's just Tom. That's kind of funny. Actually, they both seem like decent looking gentlemen to me. But anyway, yeah, so it's good times. And yeah, looking forward to the rest of the week, even though you have some shit weather, you know, there's nothing you can do about that really. It's still good to get out of Chengdu and see some different things. Even the Chinese girl hasn't been here before, and most of the people. So it's pretty cool. It's cleared up a little bit. It's not amazing by any means, weather, but yeah, usually you could see for, you know, a long ways here, and it's really pretty. But at least there's not really any tourists up here. But yeah, the rain was a little bit of a surprise. But I think it's just bad luck. Like it's supposed to be a little cooler this time of year, but I figured usually it's like around 60, and this has been around like 45 or something. So I think it's like maybe 10 degrees cooler than usual. I'm not sure about the rain. I'll have to check this more in the future, but yeah, I probably, you know, won't plan a January trip here. Maybe in, you know, Hainan Island, which is like Florida or something, but nothing this time of the year. It took a while, but the clouds finally broke and we finally got a view just before it got dark. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, I'll end the first part of the video here, and I'll continue with the rest of the trip. We're gonna go down to the Kars Mountains next, which is also super pretty. And I'll just continue from there. So I hope you enjoyed the video so far. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.